Hello, in this video we are going to learn growth and decay of current in an LR circuit. We will first see a simple LR circuit with which we can learn the growth and decay of current. Then we will write equation for current in the circuit as a function of time when a voltage source is connected in the circuit as well as when voltage source is removed from the circuit. We will then understand the concept of time constant of this LR circuit. We will then use software Multisim to simulate the circuit and plot the graph of current as a function of time when voltage source is there in the circuit and when voltage source is removed from the circuit. From the graphs obtained, we will then measure the time constant of this LR circuit. Any inductor will have an internal resistance because of the resistance of the wire that is used for the windings. So, if you just take an inductor, it will always be a series combination of an inductance L and a resistance R, which will be its internal resistance. In our circuit, we are going to connect an external resistor R, assuming that the internal resistance of the inductor is negligibly small, and this series combination will connect across a voltage source of EMF E. We are going to use a two-way switch over here so that we can either connect the voltage source across series combination of LR, or we can disconnect the voltage source and connect the inductor parallel to the resistor R. Inductive reactance is given as XL is equal to 2 pi FL, where F is the frequency of the current flowing through the inductor or the frequency at which EMF of the voltage source is changing. As we are using a DC voltage source, the EMF connected across the LR circuit is going to be constant. That means the frequency F is going to be 0, and hence inductive reactance in this circuit is going to be 0. At time t equal to 0, we'll shift the switch from point G to point A. That means when we connect the voltage source across the series combination of resistor and inductor is considered as time t equal to 0. As for DC source, inductive reactance is 0 when we connect the voltage source in the circuit by shifting the switch from G to A. Current in the circuit using Ohm's law should be equal to E upon R. But we know that inductor does not allow the change in current instantaneously. It will try to oppose that change by developing back EMF across it. The back EMF developed across the inductor is given as VL is equal to L into di by dt. It is usually written with a negative sign to show that it is developed in a direction which will oppose the change in current. If the switch is kept connected to point G for a very long time, current in the circuit will become 0. At time t equal to 0, we shift this switch from point G to point A. With this, we expect the current to start flowing in the circuit in a direction shown over here. We expect this current to be equal to E upon R as inductive reactance is going to be 0. But the inductor will develop back EMF across it, opposing this change in current from 0 to a sudden new value. The back EMF developed will have a polarity as shown over here. At t equal to 0, there will be very large change in current, and so back EMF developed will be equal to the EMF of the voltage source. This will ensure that the potential difference across this resistance is going to be 0, keeping the current in the circuit to be equal to 0. With time, the voltage source will neutralize the effect of back EMF or self-induced EMF, and hence current in the circuit will start increasing exponentially, and after some time it will acquire a maximum value, that is E upon R. We will use Kirchhoff's voltage law to obtain expression for the current in this circuit. Using Kirchhoff's voltage law, we can write the equation for this closed circuit as E is equal to VR plus VL. So E should be equal to I into R plus L into dI by dt. Solving this equation for the current, we will get an expression for current as a function of time, and that will be equal to I as function of time is equal to E upon R into 1 minus e raised to minus t into R upon L. So we can see that the current in this circuit will go on increasing with time. At t equal to 0, the current is going to be 0, and as time increases, the current will increase exponentially. At time t, which is much greater than L upon R, current in the circuit will be equal to E upon R. That means current will take a maximum value of E upon R, and once it has reached this value, current will not change but it will remain stationary. As the current does not change beyond this value, now di by dt becomes 0, and so VL will become 0 as VL is given as L into di by dt. As current in the circuit is changing exponentially following the equation I equal to E upon R into 1 minus e raised to minus t into R by L, we can see that at time t equal to L upon R, current will be equal to E upon R into 1 minus 1 upon E. That will be equal to 63% of E upon R. This time t equal to L upon R is denoted as tau, and this is called as time constant of the LR circuit. The time constant of the LR circuit is thus defined as the time the circuit would take for the current in the circuit to reach to 63% of the maximum value, which is equal to E upon R. From the time the switch is shifted from G to A, the current will start increasing exponentially as per the equation given over here, and at time t equal to 6 times tau, that is at t equal to 6 times L upon R, the current in the circuit will be equal to 99.75% of the maximum value, which we can assume as almost equal to a constant value E upon R. Hence, we can say that current in the circuit will take time t little greater than 6 times tau for achieving a steady value, that is E upon R. Once this current has taken a steady value E upon R, we can now shift this switch back to G. This will remove the voltage source from the circuit, and resistors R will come parallel to the inductor L. The time when we shift this key back to G is now considered as time t equal to 0, from when the current will start changing again. Thus, now at time t equal to 0, the current in the circuit will be equal to E upon R. As voltage source is now removed from the circuit, the current should drop to 0. That means again the inductor will suddenly find change in current flowing through it and will develop a back EMF to oppose that change in current. We can now again use Kirchhoff's voltage law for this closed circuit which does not have voltage source in it, and the equation will be I into R plus L into di by dt is equal to 0. Solving this differential equation, we will get equation for current as function of time, where the current will be equal to I0 into e raised to minus t into R by L. This I0 will be the current at time t equal to 0, that is just when the switch is shifted from point A to point G, and it will be equal to E upon R. Now from the equation of current in this circuit, that is I is equal to I0 into e raised to minus t into r by L, we can see that at t equal to tau, that is within one time constant from the time when the key is shifted from point A to point G, the current will drop to 37% of the maximum value, and that is E by R, that is its starting value. And in 6 time constants, it will reach to a value that is 0.25% of the maximum value from where it started decreasing. So we can say that right from the time the switch is shifted from point A to G, in a time t which is little greater than 6 times tau, the current will almost become 0. That means it will take a steady value equal to 0. We will now construct this circuit on the simulator Multisim and will obtain the graph for current in the circuit when the switch is shifted to the power supply terminal and then when the switch is shifted back to the ground terminal. From the graphs obtained for the current, we will then measure time constant of the circuit. We have learned the equations for current in an LR circuit when voltage source is connected across the series combination of resistor and inductor, and when the voltage source is removed from the circuit and resistor is connected parallel to inductor after current in the circuit has taken a maximum constant value. Now we are going to simulate that circuit with Multisim. In my earlier video on charging and discharging of capacitor, I have already shown you how to start with the Multisim software. Here I am going to show you the circuit which I have already saved with the Multisim. So here is an LR circuit which is ready for us to study. Now we will connect some meters in the circuit. First thing is we need to measure current in the circuit. So let's connect current meter over here. We will measure back EMF developed across the inductor by connecting a voltmeter. So we will be measuring potential difference across the inductor, that is potential developed at this point with respect to ground. We can measure potential difference across the resistor as well, for which we can connect a meter here. But when we connect a meter here, it means we are going to measure potential at this point with respect to ground. If we want to measure potential difference across the resistor, it has to be at this point where I have connected a meter with respect to the other end of the resistor, for which we have to connect this voltage reference meter at this particular point. But just connecting this meter here is not enough. Here we have to now come to the right hand side where we can select different things. So on this side you can see that once you connect voltage reference meter, you have to decide for these two voltmeters what should be the reference. So by clicking on the voltmeter, you can see over here you can select different reference terminals. One is ground and another is REF1, that is what we have connected here. By default it will be always ground, but now if you want to change that from ground to REF1, we have to select that over here. So now this meter, this voltmeter, we measure potential difference across the resistance because we are going to measure it with respect to this point. But for this voltmeter we have not changed the reference. So let's check what is the reference for that. Here voltage reference for this meter is ground. If we want, we can change it, but here it is not going to be REF1. We want to measure potential difference across the inductor, so it has to be at this point with respect to ground. So we will not change the reference point for this meter. It will remain as ground. Now before starting with the simulator, we have kept the switch connected to ground. We will just see once what are the readings on these different meters. So we are going to run the simulation. So we are getting readings on the meters. Now let us stop the simulation and see what are the values given by these three meters. Current in the circuit is 50 femtoampere femtoampere is 10 raised to minus 15 of an ampere. Potential difference across the resistance is 5 picovolt and that across the inductor is 0 volts. That means this particular circuit has come to a steady state with no magnetic field across the inductor. Now we will start the simulation and shift the switch from ground terminal to the voltage source, and we will keep it there till current in the circuit comes to a steady value of 50 milliampere, as it has to be E upon R, that is 5 volts upon 100 ohms, which is equal to 50 milliampere. Once the current has taken that steady value, we will then shift this switch back to ground position and we will keep it there till current takes the next steady value, that is almost 0 ampere. So let us start the simulation. We have gone through 2-3 cycles. Now let's stop over here and we'll come to grapher mode. In the grapher mode, now we'll select those cycles where we can see the change in current clearly. So let's select the triggering none, the edge direction as either, and we'll select minimum current as 0 and maximum current little more than the expected maximum current. So we'll select it as 51 milliampere. For voltage, we will select minimum as minus 5 volts and maximum as plus 5 volts, because we expect back EMF to be changing its direction when we shift the key from power supply terminal to ground terminal. Now let's select the time. Here we will take minimum time as 1.1 second and maximum time as 1.9 seconds. You can see here this dotted green lines is for current. So this is for the current. Then this purple color line is for the potential difference across resistance, it is V2 minus V3. The blue line is for potential difference across the inductor, that is at V3 with respect to ground. Here we can see that initially when the potential difference across resistance is 0, current in the circuit is also 0, and now at the time when we shifted the switch from ground to the power supply terminal, all of a sudden back EMF is developed across the inductor, that is equal to 5 volts. This back EMF then starts decreasing, and as the back EMF decreases, potential difference across the resistance increases and thus the current in the circuit also increases. At this point now, the back EMF has come to 0, current in the circuit has come to a maximum value and it is then saturating, and this the potential difference across resistance is equal to 5 volts, that is the EMF of the voltage source. Now at this point we have then shifted the switch back to ground terminal. So we expect the current to come to 0, but current is not coming to 0 instantaneously. We can see here the back EMF across the inductor has now gone to minus 5 volts. This side is shown for voltage. So it has gone to minus 5 volt, that means it has now changed its polarity to oppose the change in current from 50 milliampere to 0. And so the current cannot come to 0 instantaneously even though the voltage source is removed from the circuit. Now here the back EMF is changing from minus 5, it is going towards 0, and as the back EMF magnitude decreases, current in the circuit also decreases, and that also decreases the potential difference across the resistor. Now looking at the current graphs over here, we can find out time constant of this LR circuit, for which we need to just expand this curve over a small time range. So we will take the time range for up to 1.2035 starting from 1.1814. So let's take minimum time as 1.1814 and this will be 1.23. So now we can see the current changing exponentially over here very clearly. Time constant is the time required for the current to increase from 0 value to 63% of the maximum value. The maximum current is 50 milliampere and 63% of that will be equal to 31.5. So let us see at what time the current is 31.5 milliampere. This is 31.578, this is 31.43. So we cannot measure it accurately. So it would be better if we expand this further. So let us take maximum time as 1.205. Now let's come to 31.5 milliampere. This is 31.468, 486. So let's come to 31.486, which is very close to 31.5, and it is showing me the time as 1.001 seconds, and the time where it started increasing is 1.1902 seconds, and the difference in the time when it started increasing to the time when it reached to 63% of maximum is coming as 9.9 milliseconds. Theoretically, the time constant is L by R, that is 1 Henry upon 100 ohms, and that will be equal to 10 milliseconds. We can also measure this time constant from the graph for decay of current, for which we will have to change the time range. So here, now let's take minimum time as 1.34 and maximum time as 1.37. We have still not started decreasing, so let's go further. So the current starts decreasing from a steady value at 1.3796. Hence, we'll take the minimum time here as 1.367, and then the current will drop from the maximum value to a value equal to 37% of maximum value in one time constant. 37% of 50 milliampere will be 18.5 milliampere. So let us take maximum value of time as 1.4 seconds. Now we can measure the time constant accurately. So the time when the current starts decreasing is 1.3806, where the current is equal to 50 milliampere. Now it has started decreasing and it comes to 18.5 milliampere at around 1.3906, and this difference is equal to 10 milliseconds. That is one time constant, and that is what is expected from the selected values of L and R. This time constant measurement can also be done by selecting the clock voltage, as we have already seen it in the capacitor charging discharging circuit. We have to select frequency of the clock signal so that periodic time of this will be greater than or equal to 15 times the time constant, with which then we can see complete cycle of growth of current and decay of current. For our circuit with time constant of 10 milliseconds, we will need it to be greater than or equal to 150 milliseconds. That means we will have to select the frequency to be 6 Hz or less than that. Let us select the frequency as 6 Hz and then run the simulation. We can see that current is changing from 0 to 50 milliampere, then from 50 milliampere back to 0, and so on. So now we can stop the simulation and look at the graph. Here again we will have to select the time range. Minimum we are going to take say as 0 and maximum as 300 milliseconds. This gives us 2 cycles. Here again we can measure time constant looking at the curve for the current, which is increasing exponentially, and then again when the current is decreasing exponentially. Measurement can be again done by stretching the time scale. Thank you.